friends! I'm so happy you're here today because I'm going to be talking about all the books I read in May. I had so much fun in May reading. I read over 40 books. I think it ended up being 42 books. And yeah, I had a blast co-hosting Escapes a Readathon with all my fellow co-hosts. And yes, the partiers did not make it out of the house, but hey, now we're all, you know, still partying in that house and having fun. We were just having so much fun we didn't want to leave. That's what happened. But I will link all the other co-hosts down below so you can go check them out. And also the incredible Lexi from Books with Lexi that came up with this readathon idea. It was so much fun. It was all done it was all done on Discord pretty much, and it was like mood reading through the room, and then we'd get prompts when we get to the door. So we didn't have our prompts beforehand, and it was like so thrilling and exciting, and I feel like I really used my brain this month, which after the fact I'm like, I have a brain still, but it was so much fun. And yeah, I just wanted to shout out Lexi because she did such a great job. And yeah, let's get into it because it is a lot of books. I pretty much vlogged for the whole month. I think the last like 3 days or so I didn't, but I did read 2 more books in those 3 days, so I'll talk about those first. Starting with an arc I had on NetGalley called Virginia Creeper by Eva Poehler. This is book 10 in a mystery series, like a cozy mystery series about 3 middle-aged women who ghost hunt. Yeah. And I think I requested this because, well, it's audio, and I know I can get through like a short audio book really quickly, but it takes place in Williamsburg, Virginia, and I was like, okay, and I liked the way the name is. It's like Virginia Creeper. Ha ha ha. And yeah, I was like, I'm gonna like this, and I did like the beginning of it, but I did not care for it. It's not for me. I'm not a cozy mystery person at all, and this just fell into like them talking about like remodeling a house a lot in it, and I was like, what? And then there's something that happens in this that isn't necessarily like ghost or spooky, and I was just like, what was the whole point in that? So I think I'm leaning towards a 2-star for Virginia Creeper. And then the other book I ended up reading while I wasn't vlogging was The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I was planning on reading this in June. It's on my June TBR. I was like, I'm gonna read this in Silver Nitrate and give my thoughts on both. Well, I did start Silver Nitrate, but I didn't finish it. But I did finish The Island of Dr. Moreau. No, The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, but this is like a retelling of The Island of Dr. Moreau. It's definitely very different than that short story or any adaptation. I feel like the main theme of that the original does, it doesn't touch here at all. It's just like, oh, the hybrids, like they're a part of the family. Like it's so weird. It's like that the actual Dr. Moreau doesn't really like have that moment of like, maybe this is wrong or what have I been doing and stuff like that. That doesn't really happen, and I felt like a big disconnect from the original. This is really romance heavy. There's a big romance throughout this, and it's like, I don't know what the trope is. It's like she's with somebody else, but she has feelings for somebody else, you know? I don't know what that is. So yeah, I was kind of bored, honestly, through it. But overall, it's very atmospheric and an interesting story. This is off of like real facts about like rebels and stuff in Mexico around this time. So it was like really interesting. And yeah, the romance really took me out of it, so I think I'm leaning towards a 3-star. So at the beginning of the month, I read a bunch of thrillers. Well, like, I think it was 3 thrillers, because I was going to do a vlog, and then I just stopped doing that because I was not having fun at all with this. Bring Me Back by B.A. Paris. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this vlog. I think it was like thrillers that are on KU or something. And I started with this one. I did not like this one at all. The writing is so clipped throughout, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is driving me crazy. Like the tone and like the pacing and stuff drove me crazy. And then like the reveal, I was like, no, that's stupid. So I had to give this a 1 star. I did finish it, but like it was tough, and I blamed it on me being burnt out from April. Honestly, I was like, maybe I'm just burnt out from April, let me try again. And I read Phantom Limb by Lucinda Berry, and this one was just mediocre for me. I didn't hate it by any means, it just felt like a little mediocre. And so I gave it 3 stars. And then The Escape Room by Megan Golden, I absolutely I didn't hate, but I was absolutely bored out of my mind, because this is about like Wall Street people. Like, I don't care, like, at all. I could not give the tiniest shit about any of these characters, the main character, at all. I did not care. It was awful, so I think I'm leaning towards a 2 star, because I did kind of like where it went towards the end. But yeah, so that was my thriller experience at the beginning, and it was no fun. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop reading thrillers. And I switched, I did a 180 and went to a YA point horror, Lewis Duncan's Down a Dark Hall. I listened to this one, and I have this cool little edition that's not in the greatest condition, but I absolutely loved this. It was great. I also like the movie with this, or the adaptation of it. It's just fun. It's just spooky. It's like very like academia, cozy, dark academia vibes in this. So I gave it 5 stars, because honestly I was just like, oh, this isn't a horrible thriller. Fantastic. And then I read They Were Here Before Us by Eric LaRocca. This is a novella in pieces. I didn't get the connection that all these stories made, but other than that, they're from different points of view. Like there's a bug, there's a chimpanzee, there's humans. There's humans in this, you know that. There's birds, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Some stories I liked more than others. I really liked the last story, which is like a creature feature. I know that was like people's least favorite, but I was like, that was so much fun. So I gave this one 4 stars. This cover is amazing. It is available on KU as well. And yeah, it's just a fun little collection, and it was just like perfect to get through like on a set of sprints or something. And then I read Dark Corner by Brandon Massey. This is actually from my Ouija TBR game, and I finally read it and I enjoyed it. It's a fun vampire story. It has some great imagery in this, but the romance parts did take me out of the actual story, or just like I zoned out completely during it. But I gave it 3 stars, and if you're looking for a unique vampire story, this one is for you. The next book I ended up reading was Pinata by Leopoldo Gout, and I had a lot of fun with this one. It's a very unique possession story. You get a lot of history in it that I didn't know about the Pinata, and it was very interesting. There's some great imagery at the beginning that is very like visceral and gross, and you're like, what is going on? I have to know. So the mystery element definitely kept me intrigued, and then towards the end, it just had like these great sequences. There's a great action sequence in this that action's really hard to write. So when you read an action scene and it's not written well, you know it. It felt very cinematic throughout it, and some great like supernatural stuff happening in this, creepy kid stuff. Very good. There is a part in this that is in the synopsis. I just don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it, because it felt like that didn't need to be in the synopsis. It kind of felt like a bit of a twist in the story. So yeah, I don't think you need to know. I think the synopsis gives too much away, honestly. But if you're looking for a unique possession story, definitely check it out. I gave it 4.5 stars. The next book I ended up reading was Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a little tiny novella that I absolutely loved. I gave it 5 stars. It is about a young boy who thinks he's being visited by the ghost of his father. And that's pretty much all I can say. But this little novella does a lot. It has a lot happens in it, and some crazy stuff happens in it. It's very spooky. It's very eerie. It's about grief. And then it goes somewhere else, and you're like, what the heck? Stephen Graham Jones, like, oh my gosh, am I crying? Why am I crying over like 100 pages? I don't know. I give this 5 stars. It's amazing. Definitely check it out if you're looking for something short and hard-hitting and scary. The next book I ended up listening to is The Patient by Jasper D. Witt. I liked this. It was very addictive to listen to. It's a very weird story. It's like you don't really know where it's going to go. I guess this is a possession story in a way. It's about this guy who's working at an insane asylum. They say it in the book. I'm like, I don't think they call those that anymore, but okay. And there's a patient there, and every doctor who has interviewed him or like attempted to like diagnose him or work with him over the past 20 years ends up unaliving themselves after the fact. But this guy is like, I'm gonna do it, and then he discovers something that is just very wrong with him. This was interesting, but yeah, I felt like it needed something else in it to go along with the reveal. I don't know. I was just like, oh, I thought it was going to be something else, but okay. So 3 stars. Next book was a fun buddy read I did with Kelsey from Slime and Slashers and Andrew from It Came From the Page, and that was Familiar Spirit by Lisa Tuttle. I had a blast with this book. It is like a very spooky, I guess, ghost story, spirit story, a little bit of possession in it. I feel like at the beginning there's like a straight off possession, which is kind of crazy because I finished Pinata and then I think I picked this one up and I was like, that's another possession story. But it doesn't lean into that super hard. It just like a little here, a little there, you know? And then it's pretty erotic. There's something in this that happens that I will never like get out of my head, I feel like. And I was just like, what? The guys in this are terrible. The women rock. And there's some cats that do get killed. It's not super graphic though, but it's fantastic. It's so well written. It's so fast paced. It's very atmospheric and scary, but also at the same time you're like, this is ridiculous. I love it. So I think I'm giving it 5 stars. At first I was just like at a 4.5, but I kept thinking about something in this. I was just like, okay, I think I'm gonna give it a 5 star. Definitely one of the funnest, bestest paperbacks from hell I've ever read. Definitely worth checking out. A new favorite for sure. And no surprise here, it's Lisa Tuttle. Like, of course I was gonna like it, right? And then I ended up reading volumes 2 and 3 of Something Is Killing the Children, and I ended up giving these 4 stars. I don't have a ton to say about these because they are like new volumes, They are like middle volumes, I guess. But more stuff was explained, so I liked it more than the first volume. And you're in a complete arc, volume 1 through 3. So I feel like I'm at a really good stopping space. And yeah, definitely worth checking out if you feel yourself like in a rut or something. Graphic novels are always a good way to go. And then I read another Stephen Graham Jones, Don't Fear the Reaper. This is book 2 in the Indian Lake trilogy, and I absolutely loved it. Of course, I knew I was going to love it. My Heart is a Chainsaw is one of my favorite books of all time since I read it. And yeah, fantastic, so great. I found myself, I know people are saying like they like this one more than My Heart is a Chainsaw. I don't know if I'm there yet. I don't know, I can't say I'm there quite yet because that book is just so powerful and so unique and different. This one is like multiple POVs, there's some great action scenes, there's some straight up cinematic like horror scenes in this that had me just like scared. I was like, don't do it, Jade, don't do it. Or Jennifer, she's going by Jennifer in this, but I was just like, oh my gosh, don't go in there, you know, like I was like rooting for her, like don't do that, don't go upstairs, you know, like that. And then there's some newer horror movie references, because I feel like in the past, like it's from 2015 till like now, we've kind of been in like this resurgence, right, of horror, of indie horror. Like It Follows, The Witch, I don't know why I've never said that title like that before. You know what I mean though, like there's new horror out. Jade is not up to date on this new horror, but her friends are, so they're like keeping her updated. There is also a scene in this where I was eating and listening to it while driving, and I was just like, I'm no longer hungry. I actually feel really sick. It's very gory and disturbing. The villain in this is really disturbing and cool and interesting, and like it's so good. I could talk forever about this freaking book. But yeah, 5 stars for both of them. I'm so excited for book 3. I also read volumes 1 through 3 of Chainsaw Man, and I absolutely love these books too. They're so much fun. They're really goofy and funny and gory, and yeah, just a blast. I ended up giving them all 4 stars. They're fantastic. It's a lot of fun. If you don't know what this is about, you follow this guy Dingy. He's like 16, and he's not doing great, but he has a little devil that's like a little chainsaw dog, and they go around killing other devils just to like get food. Something pretty gnarly happens with this, it's like a zombie thing, and he ends up merged with his devil, and now he works for like an association that has other people like that, that have merged with their devils to get rid of other devils in this world. It's really fun and gory, and it's just fun. It's just a fun time. It's a nice little break from reading like big novels or just any novels. And I gave them all, 4 stars. I already said that. The next book I ended up reading was Gothic by Philip Percassi. This read very quickly for being really long. But yeah, it's a writer's story, horror writer's story, cursed object story. It's a cursed desk. This desk makes him just write crazy. He doesn't remember writing a whole book in like 2 days or something. His fingers are all bloody from him like slamming down on the keyboard, and at the same time like his family life is crumbling. My only thing with this was that this author, you could tell, was going for that paperbacks from hell type of vintage style of writing where it's just terrible to women for some reason, and there's some other stuff in this that I didn't like, so I was just like, you don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, I'm going to write a vintage book, I just have to write a totally horrible scene with a woman, or like have the men in the book be horrible to women. Like, no, you don't have to do that, actually. You know, like, you can have a vintage vibe book without those, you know, elements in it. So it was such a bummer to me to read. I was just like, seriously, you gonna do that? But towards the end, it did take on like kind of a Into the Mouth of Madness vibes. Like, have you read Sutter Kid? And I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. So I ended up giving it a 3.5 star. Definitely worth checking out if you do have a love of cursed object stories. And the next book I ended up listening to was Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion, for Cats from Cat's Novel Adventures for a Zombie Thon. I actually did a zombie chat with Kat. I will link it in the description box and her channel, so you go check out all her zombie stuff. It was super fun to kind of read. I didn't read a ton of zombie books or watch a ton of zombie movies, but I did watch like a new to me zombie movie by Lucio Fulci, Day of the Dead. It was a Day of the Dead, City of the Dead, and I was just like, hello. This is insane. So I did have a lot of fun with some zombies. This was a lot of fun. It was a very quick listen. I think it's 8 hours, and it went by very quickly, and I found it really funny and like kind of cute. The romance in it did not bother me, but it was like kind of funny. I was like, these zombies are acting like they're alive still, like they're still holding weddings and like adopting small zombie children and stuff. Like, I thought that was so funny. But yeah, I had a good time with it. I gave it 3 stars. And the next book I ended up reading was Hound by Ken Greenwald. This is a super short little paperback from hell and novella, but it did drag, I'm not gonna lie. I was just like, okay, Baxter, like, you got problems, you have a superiority complex, you're obviously a psychopath trapped in a dog. Yeah, you're following Baxter and he's crazy and he's doing bad stuff, but he meets his match through this little awful evil kid. So this has evil dog trope, evil kid trope. It was fun. Yeah, I gave it 3 stars as well. I keep laughing. The ending of this is very sad though, so it's not very funny towards the end. And then the next book I ended up reading was And Then I Woke Up by Malcolm Devlin. This is kind of like a pandemic story. This could fit into like a zombie book as well. But I just didn't really care for how it came together. It just, I was just like, really? We're doing that? We run out of ideas. Like, not to be too mean, but I was just like, this is kind of like a crazy idea. And yeah, it just didn't really come together all the way for me personally at the end. So I think I'm giving it like 2.5 star or 3 star. So the next book I ended up reading was an arc from NetGalley, and that is Maeve Fly by C.J. Liddy. I absolutely love this book. I was hooked after like 20% in. At first it starts off a bit slow, and then it doesn't stop, and it's fantastic, and I had a blast with it. If you like Halloween, if you like LA vibes, or even like, I don't want to say Disney because I feel like it makes fun of Disney, but if you like those type of kind of seedy vibes, you'll definitely like this. If you like American Psycho, you'll definitely like it. I like it more than American Psycho. I feel like this is like a really fun version, shorter version of American Psycho. And yeah, my review on NetGalley is I had a blast reading this one and not sure what that says about me, and I used the wrong thing. This being inside Maeve's head was very reminiscent to being inside Patrick Bateman's head in American Psycho, but way less boring. There's a lot of satire in this as well. There is some very graphic essay scenes in this that lean into being extreme, but it's only like one part of it. And what this book does too, that American Psycho does, is like you don't necessarily know if it's really happening. It's like psychological. It's so fun. Maeve loves some awesome music, some awesome horror movies. There's lots of references, and Halloween. So this is a Halloween book as well. Lots of gore. It's so great. It's like the ending too is so beautiful. I feel like it's very fitting. Yeah, 5 stars. Definitely check this one out when it comes out. I think it's coming out at the beginning of June sometime. I think it comes out next week, so definitely be on the lookout for this. And then I read Stinger by Robert R. McCammon for a really fun secret Satan video. I don't know, I just said it like that. I didn't even say that in my vlog, but basically one day we all premiered our videos back to back to guess like who recommended this book to us. So I will link that video in the description box down below, and it was just like so much fun watching everybody's videos. And then it was like, okay, who do we have left? Like, I was trying to guess like who picked out that book for that other booktuber. Like, it was so much fun. It was a bunch of hosts from Escape the Readathon, and yeah, it was a blast to hang out with people all day in a chat. I was actually at work and I was like, oh gosh, if I have to do work, I want to cry. Luckily I didn't. Like, even my coworkers were like, what's going on? And I was like, I have to be in a chat for every one of these videos. But spoiler, I did enjoy Stinger. The beginning's a bit rocky. It is a bit slower, but I gave it 4 stars. It's a fun alien invasion story, and yeah, small town alien invasion story. Then I read The Shadow of Batgirl. This is a graphic novel. I think they're like rebooting Batgirl. Batgirl is in this. I knew right off the bat, and I'm not like a comic book expert or anything. I was just like, that's Batgirl. And from what I remember, she's not crazy in this. Like, I feel like everything else, like the Harley Quinn stuff, she's a little crazy. But yeah, so this is a YA, of course, and this new Batgirl cast has come from a family of killers, pretty much. She was born and raised as a killer, and she's been killing men for her crime boss father, and she doesn't want to do it anymore, and she wants to be a hero, and it's very cute, and it was fun, and I gave it 4 stars. And then I read World War Z by Max Brooks for Zombieathon, and this was so boring. The first half was okay, but I was like, oh, it's gonna keep doing this. It's all a documentary format, and I was just like done like halfway through, but I finished it for the sake of the partier so I could count it, but I'm giving it 2 stars. And I read Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendara Blake, and I enjoyed this one a lot. It went by really quickly. I think I read most of this on one night on sprints or something, and yeah, it's fun. If you like Buffy, you'll definitely like this. It has like all the Scooby Gang vibes in it. It's about this kid who can see ghosts, and he got that from his father, but he's looking for the ghost that killed his father, and there's like a big bad ghost, but along the way he meets Anna and gets her sad backstory, and yeah, it's very spooky. There's a lot of cursing in this that I wasn't expecting. So I was like, oh, okay, and there's a lot of humor in it, and it's pretty gory as well for a YA book. Definitely check it out if you're into all of those things, and yeah, I gave it 4 stars. The next book I ended up reading was Cackle by Rachel Harrison, and I absolutely loved this. I had so much fun with it. It was like so cozy and like fun to read. This is about a woman who is going through a pretty bad breakup, like pretty out of the blue. They were together for 10 years, and he's like, we gotta break up. And she's like, okay, well, I'm moving then, bye. And she moves to restart her life. It's kind of like a Hallmark movie. It's like a Hallmark movie, Witches of Eastwick vibe, but just with a woman. She meets a new woman in town, and she lives in this big mansion, and everybody's kind of scared of her, and yeah, I really enjoyed this. This is my favorite Rachel Harrison book, and I'm excited to read her new one. I think it's Black Sheep. I'm super excited, but yeah, all the cozy vibes, talks about food a lot. It's not scary at all if you're looking for that. It's definitely like more witchy and like some feminist vibes in it too. It's in friendship vibes. I really liked it. I really liked this book. It's my favorite. But yeah, 5 stars for Cackle. Even if you don't like spiders, I think you'll still like this one. And then I read Harrow County volumes 1 through 3, and these were really fun as well. I feel like all of the graphic novels that I read this month, I was just like, I just had fun with them, and I picked them up for certain prompts, I think, or no, maybe I read these for mood reading. I don't even remember. But yeah, this is about a town in the south. This is a southern, like, Gothic. I'm going to show you guys a picture in one that I absolutely love. It's in the first one. And it's about this witch that they, like, got rid of because she was so evil. Look at how evil she is. Oh my gosh, she's doing evil things. And basically she was terrorizing this town and they got rid of her, but 18 years later they think she's kind of reincarnated into and this girl, and she's like, yeah, like, so what if she is? I'm still here though, like, you guys can't get rid of me that easily. Also, I'm like really nice and cool, and I'm not gonna like let her win, basically. But yeah, this is like very unique. I feel like unique monsters in it, telling an interesting story, and it's I'm like, it's very southern. And then I listened to His Black Tongue, which is on Scribd. This was a very quick listen. It is 3 different stories kind of around like a medieval vibes. Like, I think there's like possession, there's demons, there's witches or something. And it's very atmospheric. It's full cast. It has a high production in it. Like, it had sound effects and stuff. But I didn't really care for the second or third story. I really liked the first story though. Like, I guess the whole setup of it. And I thought it was going to be like that one main story throughout. I didn't know it was short stories or a collection. So I think giving it 3 stars, or like a low 3. And then the books that made me actually vlog the last week was Stillhouse Lake and KillmanCreek by Rachel Caine. I absolutely love these 2 thrillers. If you read the first one, it does end on a big cliffhanger. KillmanCreek does not. It wraps up the whole story. But this is like a serial killer, a thriller that I absolutely loved. It was very fast paced, and the audio is available on Kindle Unlimited. And yeah, they're my new favorite thrillers. And the funny story is that these are, well, Stillhouse is on my list of thrillers I was going to read for my thriller vlog, so we've come full circle. I actually really liked it. And yeah, fantastic. Definitely check them out. Then I read Reluctant Mortals by Gwendolyn Kist, and this was a cool experience. I don't know how else to describe it. This is Bertha from Jane Eyre and Lucy from Dracula living together in the 70s, as you do. My only problem with this is, like, yeah, they're outrunning Dracula and Mr. Rothschild. I forget that dude's name. I forget how to say his name, oh my gosh. But basically, yeah, Jane Eyre shows up too, and she's like still kind of like under that dude's spell or whatever. You don't have to be super familiar with Jane Eyre, just know that that dude in that like sucks. Like, that's what you just need to know. And he did Bertha very, very dirty in that book. You know, Jane could do better, you know, like, come on. And then for Lucy, you don't have to read Dracula, but also know, like, she was kind of done dirty by Dracula. Actually, Lucy's my favorite in the OG Dracula. She becomes the beautiful lady. The beautiful lady. Little kids can't say beautiful. They end up calling her the beautiful lady in the park at night, and she's like killing little kids and stuff. It's fantastic. It's so good. But anyways, my only thing with this, it is really cool. It's really 70s. It's atmospheric, and it's like cool to think about these characters being alive in the 70s and like how they're living and stuff. But I just didn't get like Dracula's motives at all. Like, I was just like, okay, and I just didn't understand like why the bad in this was bad and like what they were trying to do. It just didn't connect to me. And also some stuff with Lucy as well in this just didn't make a ton of sense to me for what happens to Lucy and Dracula. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And that's probably me just overthinking everything all the time, you know, as one does. But the writing's fantastic, and it's just like a fun story if you like Dracula and Jane Eyre to get behind. And the cover is absolutely fantastic, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. The next book I ended up reading was The Honeys by Ryan LaSala. I believe this is a YA book. This is kind of like Midsummer, like camp murder mystery, question mark, kind of a mystery going on in it. And yeah, it's really trippy. If you can tell from the cover, it is like, and it's like you can feel it too. It's very, very trippy in some parts. There's a lot of like dreams and stuff, which you guys know I'm not like a huge fan of those, but it's about like, yeah, a camp where the main character Mars goes back to after something bad happened to them, and they're trying to figure out what happened to their sister that was in this group, the Honeys, that made their own honey, and stuff starts happening around with the honey, you know? I liked this. I liked how weird it got for a YA book. I was like, okay, see you. So I gave it a 4-star because I was definitely intrigued and I wanted more to happen, a little bit more. I feel like it went there enough, but it was really trippy and it's spooky in parts, and I really enjoyed it. Ended up reading Deathnote for a prompt really quickly, and this was okay. I know this is like a lot of people's like favorite. I think I watched the show before and it just was boring to me. I feel like coming out of like May though, I was like towards the end, I was like, there's so much talking in this. Why is nobody being cut up or something? I don't know. Like, I'm like thinking, yeah, of other stuff I was reading, I guess, at the time. But yeah, 3 stars for Deathnote. And then I read another arc called It Found Us by Lindsay Curry. This is a middle grade, spooky middle grade ghost story. And I ended up giving this 4-star. It was going to be a 3-star because I wasn't like super into it. It didn't wow me or anything. It just felt like a beat to beat, like, more fleshed out Goosebumps, I feel like. But then I read the author's note, and what happens in the book is based on a true story that I never even heard about, and then I went down like another rabbit hole and I was like, oh wow. So yeah, 4 stars. Then I read Church. I forget Renee Miller. This is a Rewind or Die book. I read this for a prompt too. I was really struggling with some prompts towards the end. They got quite difficult. And I ended up reading this, and this is like a cult story. It's pretty erotic, and it just wasn't as fun as the other Rewind or Die series, so I ended up giving it 2 stars. And then I totally forgot to talk about Hellbent at the beginning of the month. This is the second book to Ninth House, of course, and I did enjoy this, but I feel like there was like another aspect to this that wasn't around the dark academia or magic stuff in this, which I don't read a ton of magic stuff anymore, but I feel like that's not what bothered me. I feel like it was like a crime element in this that kind of like dragged it out for me. I was like, do I really need to know this? Like, I thought we were on a mission here, guys. But overall, I did enjoy it, and I will read the third one because I'm very invested in this story. And I ended up giving it 3 stars. I read Deep and Dark by Wendy Dalrymple, and I liked this. I did, but the romance in it was a lot. Wendy Dalrymple writes romance typically, but she does have like a whole Gothic series, Florida Gothic series that are fun and short. And this one was kind of weird, but it was pretty predictable. I think I'm leaning towards like a 2.5, and I'll round up to 3 on Goodreads. And then I ended the month with a couple of rereads. I reread The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This is a really quick listen. I listened to it on Libby, and I absolutely loved it. I got like a lot from it again, actually, because I don't think I've read this since I watched the show, the Mike Flanagan show. So like I got like more stuff from it, comparing it to the show. Like, where did the creators of that show get the big themes in that show? Because it's so different from the book, but I feel like all of those themes are here too. And I kind of talk about that in my last vlog. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a freaking work of art. It's so good. Both of them I feel like are amazing. But yeah, I ended up giving this 5 stars. And then I reread The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. I absolutely love this story. I think it's so funny and it's short. It's 65 pages and I read it to get through a freaking door. I reread it and yeah, I had a lot of fun with my re-listen to this. It's like has the best line ever, the best opening line ever. It's so funny and I know Gillian Flynn I think wrote this as a joke, like for George R. R. Martin, because everybody's friends, right? Like, oh yeah, I can't write a haunted house story. Here you go. And it's kind of a play on Turn of the Screw. And it's really clever and funny. As a fan of Turn of the Screw, I absolutely love this. I think it's so much fun. So yeah, 5 stars again for The Grown Up. What a fun 65 pages it is. It's just a blast. Okay, that is it. I'm losing my voice. I'm talking about 42 books. I hope this video is not too long, but let me know what was some of your favorite reads in May, or are you interested in reading any of these books? And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Bye.